Hello, thank you guys for clicking on this video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonathan Enns. I am a real estate broker with Slifer Smith and Frampton Real Estate here in Summit County, Colorado. It is April 6th and we're about 3 weeks into shelter-in-place orders, at least here in Colorado, with everything going on in the world with COVID-19. Obviously, we're trying to really focus on the health of our world and our local communities. And really just trying to do our part. But I was wanted to check in with you all and give you an update on our market, where things are at through the end of March, as well as how things have been impacted since all of these shelter-in-place orders happened. So I'll dive right into it now. Let me just jump into March statistics. So these are stats that we pulled from year to date, as well as comparing March 2020 to previous years. So transactions actually through March 2020 were up 7% compared to a year ago. Total sales volume as well. So total just dollar volume of properties that have sold and closed during the month of March is actually up 5%. And going into now year to date, transactions are slightly down 3%, while sales volume is up 1%, which is kind of just reflective of, obviously, one thing we've been seeing this actually over as a trend over the last few years is lesser properties or lesser transactions. So number of properties are selling, but the value of those properties has increased, which is pushing that sales volume up. And kind of going into that, the average sale price is actually, ironically, down about 1% compared to a year ago. So not hugely down, but down about 1%, still in the low $800,000 range per property sold. And average sale price per square foot, though, has actually gone up substantially, about 12%. So this is kind of indicative of a lot of maybe smaller, more affordable properties that have increased in value, so which has driven that average price per square foot up, while not necessarily the average price as a whole increasing. So whatever a property that was maybe $400,000 is now selling for $450,000 type of thing, where something that was $800,000 or $1 million is still selling for about $1 million. As far as inventory, this is actually, we've seen a lot of increase in inventory, up about 14% as of today compared to a year ago. And a big part of this is new construction. We're seeing a lot of new construction, especially in the Keystone, Silverthorne, Dillon areas. So those are bringing a lot of new projects, new properties to the market, and gives buyers a lot more options. And this is actually a really good thing for us. Inventory has been so tight and so limited for a number of years that there just hasn't been a lot to sell. And to give you a little bit of what those specific stats are, active listings as of today, it's right around 670 or so properties, which 547 of those are residential, and about 128 land. I say about 100. That's as of about a couple days ago. So that's the only thing, is it might have gone up or down a few in that time period. And so March obviously is doing well. Through March, no real change. Everything is on track. How does that affect now, or how has that been impacted by COVID-19? The last 3 weeks or so, is right around March 15th that a lot of these shelter-in-place orders went into effect, which, us being a resort area, we did lose a couple weeks of those spring break crowds that our local businesses usually really rely on. So that definitely is a huge bummer. That's one note I will have. If you guys have your favorite local restaurant or business, please consider going on their website. Either if you are local, order takeout, or next time you're up, a lot of times you can go to their websites, buy a gift card, do something like that, just to help them out through these hard times, because there's a lot of people that lost a good chunk of income not having those past few weeks here to work. And so anything you guys can do to help, obviously, will be appreciated. And if you guys have any questions on how to do that, definitely send me a message or an email, and I can help kind of get you in touch with people on that. So diving into stats here and what has happened in our market since coronavirus basically started having a lot of effects on our market. So just going back to March 15th, what have I seen? Just stats wise, we've had 127 new listings. So a lot of new listings have come on in that time period. We've had 67 properties close in that time. So it's not necessarily hasn't stopped people from being able to close on their properties. We've seen, this is to me the biggest indicator or interesting stat, is 51 properties have gone under contract in that time period. So they were not under contract March 15th, but they are now. So a buyer came in and said, yes, I want to buy this property, and put in an offer, and it's been accepted, and they're in the process of going through all their due diligence to buy the home. We have seen 55 properties withdrawn, which means they were actively listed for sale and now they're not. So whether the seller said, you know what, I live here full time and I'm going to just shelter in place and I don't really want to have showings while I'm here, that could be part of it, or just other concerns of people just saying, you know what, with everything going on in the world, there's not a lot of buyers looking anyways. I don't want to waste days being listed for sale or days on market when there's not really anyone that's going to be here to see my property anyways, so I'm just going to pull it off. And it's also just common this time of year, because as ski season ends and before really summer kicks off, so April, May is generally our slower time of year. It's common to see sellers say, hey, I'm not going to get a lot of showings right this time of year anyways, so I'd rather just pull my home off the market, not lose those days of being marketed type of thing. They don't want to be racking up that time on market and maybe stigmatize their property in some way in a buyer's mind, when it's not really a good time for buyers to be seeing property anyways. And so we're actually still seeing pretty good activity through this time period. And so looking even this past week, so as we've kind of been in quarantine and in our shelter in place orders a little bit longer, now what's happening? So we've still seen over this last 7 days, 57 new listings, 36 properties closed over that time period, 18 pendings. So new properties, new contracts that have come in over the last week, which is definitely a reduction of what we'd expect for this time of year. I would expect definitely more than 18, probably almost double that number. But all things considered, stuff is still moving. People still have confidence in this market. 18 withdrawn. So like I said, those sellers that pulled their properties off, and then 25 properties that were under contract and came back on. So that's also is a telling stat of, for some reason, 25 properties were under contract and now they are not. Obviously some of these stats, there's good and bads to look at it. Anytime you see back on market, there can be questions of a number of different factors. Yeah, it could be coronavirus related, but it could be something totally different, and just the buyer's ability to buy, or they changed their mind, or maybe something came up in an inspection item and they said, you know what, we don't want to deal with that. We'll find another property, and they move on from that. So there could be a number of reasons, but some reasons as far as, one, you can have hope, but for people who are still serious and interested in buying, there's definitely some good opportunities with these properties that have come back on the market. Some of these sellers may be really motivated to sell Also, properties that are actively listed in the current market shows confidence from the sellers saying, hey, they're still game to sell. So for buyers who are curious, it's still totally open for offers, for potential showings. Obviously, given shelter-in-place orders, we really need to take a lot of precautions with showings right now, and just it's not necessarily the time to just go and look at properties for the sake of killing time and looking at properties. That this is more a time for serious buyers to I guess they can still move forward, but it is one of those times where if you're not super serious, I would say hold off for a little bit and just see what plays out more. But if you are a serious buyer in a position to buy a property, or you're moving and you need to find a new property, that's still totally an option. I can totally still show you properties and go about that process. It might look a little different than in normal times, but through virtual showings and other things like that, we can do a lot of the preemptive work to make sure we're finding a new property. And then maybe if we get to that point, that's when you try and, if you can, get out here, come up from the Front Range or wherever you are. Then we can try and schedule that showing just to make sure. But it is one of those things where we want to make sure we're serious. And then other reasons as far as why it could be a good time to buy is mortgage interest rates are fantastic right now. As of the end of last week, the Freddie Mac 30-year fix, they're quoting 3.33% for 30 years and 2.82% for 15 years. So those are some of the best rates you may see in your lifetime. So if you are in a position, it could definitely be to your benefit to try and make something happen right now. And obviously these are changing day to day. Even I just kind of looked at this morning and I was seeing 3.5 to 3.7 for 30 years. So still well below 4, and then 3.25, but I would definitely talk to your individual lender to get a little bit more accurate estimate of where you would qualify. But as a whole, this is all to say that there are still good opportunities, and I know everyone's in a different position right now with jobs and the way things are happening in the world. But just more so wanted to keep you guys updated on where things are here and say that stuff is still continuing to move, even if it is at a slightly reduced pace. Prices, we haven't seen really any drop in prices yet. That isn't to say, though, that there isn't room to negotiate if you're a serious buyer. That with just given the current state of things, that a lot of the sellers, that they realize what's happening in the world, and they may be more inclined to take a lower price than they would have a month and a half ago. They may be more inclined to give you longer terms and due diligence period for you to even just decide and feel out what is happening in the market and in our economy. But if you guys do have any additional questions or want more details, please shoot me an email, leave any comments down below. I definitely will get back to you on those and would love to connect and help out in any way I can. So for any, like I said, any of those questions, my email is jens@slifersummit.com, or you can always shoot me a text or email, and my info is in my profile as well. Like I said, or leave a comment, and I can definitely connect up with you. But hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're staying happy and healthy and really just taking the opportunity. It's a beautiful day today. I know I want to get outside for a little walk, get some vitamin D, and just enjoy the fresh air and the spring days that we're getting right now. So other than that, hope you guys are well, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.